Reunited and it feels
Hopefully
so
Rylan doesn't realize that I'm not there and freak out. She's been very clingy since being sick.
Yeah. Is it teething or did she get like actually sick?
She was sick, yeah, but I think it's both, honestly. I think it was she got sick and teething because she's getting she's getting like some teeth in the back too, like bigger ones.
The big ones.
And she's been pretty miserable. So.
The molars.
The big ones.
Getting the molars. It looks like a molar on her bottom lip. She's getting.
She's very easily agitated.
Yeah, she's fine. Then she's like,
she's got all kinds
of... Like, what happened? I looked at her wrong.
She's got entertainment, though.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. Hi, I'm Nick.
And I'm Josh.
And this is the PUDs Podcast. All right, man. So what's up?
What's up, dude?
We're back in person.
Reunited and it feels so good. Ooh, good harmony. That was
Thank you.
That was good.
I was afraid to jump in at first because I didn't want to be out of key, but nailed it.
Yeah, I'm happy to be back in the Black Cat Studios.
Yeah, we're back in person together.
Yep, with a very special guest today.
Yeah, very, very special guest. Hi, Ashley.
Hi.
She's not even that special of a guest anymore because she's been on the podcast
so
like
many
3 or 4 times now.
She's just the third.
Yeah.
She's just the third.
I just join when it's something that's interesting to me.
The third musketeer.
That I can talk a lot about.
Yeah, the third musketeer.
We'll get into what we're talking about in a bit.
Yeah. You want to get into the scramble?
Let's do it. Celtic season starts next week. I can't wait. Can't wait for opening day. They look great in the preseason too.
They've been winning.
They've been it's just been clicking offensively.
You're happy with them, except with the exception of the trade that happened.
I still don't like that they don't have the depth that they could have had, but I like the way that Kristaps Porzingis fits into their lineup. So, and my guy Peyton Pritchard, who I've been rooting for 3 years now since they drafted him, because he's just fun, a little fun guy to watch. Tiny guard that can shoot, and he's getting more minutes, and he's making the best of it so far. So, but we'll see what happens in the regular season.
It's early yet.
Yeah, it still is early, but
hopefully someone carries the torch for New England sports for a little bit, because it's been a bummer.
Yeah.
I know we talked about this last time.
Yeah, the Patriots. It's not fun to watch at all.
No.
I think it's because Bill Belichick, he's like. They need to rebuild, and I don't think he has. I don't think he's willing to admit that. We need to rebuild. We have to start all over.
We're fine.
Yeah,
we're just losing every game.
You can't keep underpaying people and trying to get the scrappy guys that are going to overperform their contracts. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, for sure.
They got to do a full rebuild.
Agreed.
But, yeah. What about you?
So we were up in New York last weekend and kind of didn't go completely as planned since Ash ended up being super sick. We were going to try to go out hiking together, bag some more Adirondack high peaks. I ended up going out by myself, bagged Dick's Mountain for my 18th high peak, so that was kind of cool. Did that on Friday. Subsequently got super sick Saturday into Sunday. and Rylan was sick. Ash was sick. Me and Ash did get out and do Baxter Mountain in Keene Valley, which is kind of a short, nice little hike. Foliage was spectacular. It was really good. So not the most relaxing vacation, having a sick child.
Welcome to fall.
All being sick. Yeah.
Welcome to fall with a baby, dude.
Yeah.
Every fall, just get ready for them to get sick, and then for you to get sick.
Yeah, it was lovely, and my mom got sick too. So it was just all of us got sick.
I used to be like, it doesn't matter if the baby's sick. Like, it's little baby germs. Like, what's a? No. I'm a grown adult. I'm not gonna get sick. And then
those
you
are
end
little
up
baby germs.
Yeah, those little baby germs end up being like big daddy germs and knock you right out.
Oh yeah. We were all out of commission for a bit. We still had fun, but we were all utterly exhausted. Yeah. I think when we got back, been sleeping like 10, 11 hours a night.
Did you get to do all the hikes that you wanted to do?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, I wasn't planning on doing Dick's Mountain, but it was the closest sort of relative to our hotel, and it wasn't super long mileage for a lot of the hikes we were looking at. We actually wanted to do Dial and Nipple Top, which is a super fun peak to say.
Dick's and Nipple Top.
Yeah. Dick's, DIX is the one I ended up doing. Dial and Nipple Top, we were looking at doing it, or we were looking at doing Mount Colden with a kind of big loop through Avalanche Pass, which is a really pretty part of the Adirondacks. But we'll save it for next time when we're both 100% and ready to go.
It's not going anywhere.
Yeah, no, the mountains will always be there.
Yeah.
So
that's good, though.
So that was fun, and kind of just came home, chilled, unwinded.
Yeah.
Nothing too crazy. We were back pretty early on Sunday because I think Rylan woke up at like 7 screaming again, and I was like, that's it. We're done. We're done. I'm packing the car. We're rolling home.
Let's get out of here.
We're rolling home.
Let's get back to our beds.
Yeah. So I think that was mostly it.
Ashley, do you have anything?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I mean,
I didn't want to speak for you if you have anything.
Definitely needed a vacation from
our vacation,
the previous vacation that we took.
Yeah.
Well, Labor Day. No, what is it? Veterans Day? Veterans Day is coming.
Yeah.
A little long weekend.
Yeah. I mean, I don't get Veterans Day, but honestly, we're thinking of taking the Friday, Saturday, and maybe going up and doing like an overnight in New Hampshire, but we'll see.
There you go.
Try to make up for it.
Past leaf peeper season.
Nice.
Stick season. Stick season is shortly.
Sticks?
Yeah, stick, because it's all, you just see sticks in the woods and there's no leaves left. Stick season.
You can see all the way through into
it's nice.
the Hudson.
Yeah. I mean, not in New York, but yeah, we might try to go up to New Hampshire and do something.
Yeah, that weekend, the one of the podcasts, the hiking podcast we listened to, Slasher Podcast, the one who kind of
like a
gave us the nice shout out. They're doing a 5K and then they're doing a live show.
Oh, sweet.
We're not going to go to the live show with Rylan, obviously, because there's, I mean,
are they doing it at a bar?
They're doing it at Reckless Brewing Co. Actually,
we might just go by after
they,
they do the live episode and see if we can meet them.
Maybe,
try
to check
but
that out.
We'll see.
Yeah. See if I can meet them in person.
Take Rylan to the bar, dude. Who cares?
We just don't want her to bring her when they're recording the podcast.
They're doing like a 2-hour episode with some sort of special guest. So I'm like, they don't need to hear my child screaming throughout the background.
If you do a live episode, you got to understand.
I know,
but we're not going to tempt fate.
I won't enjoy it if I know that she could start screaming or it's just not worth it.
I brought my pet cockatoo. I didn't think he'd be noisy.
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right. This was your brainchild, and we're all sitting around here. We're ready to go. Yep. Josh prepared this. It looks beautiful.
Thank you. So a lot of work went into it. So today we are ranking spooky movies. We're in the spooky. It's interesting. The ghosts. We're in Halloween season, spooky season. So we all made a ranking of our top 10 favorite spooky movies. I'll call them. Because not necessarily all of these are horror movies or anything like that. So we're going to call it the spooky movie list. We collectively made a top 10. Each one of us, me, Nick, Ashley, and my wife, Melissa, we all made our top 10 spooky movie lists. And then a little math was involved. And then we made a collective top 10 spooky movie list for the PUDs podcast. So we're going to... We're going to rank these movies, go into it a little bit, talk about them a little bit.
It's about to get really Halloween-y up in here.
Yeah, it's going to get weenie for sure. For sure. I'll start us off. So at number 10, and this is going to be a theme of a few of these, but we have a tie. 2-way tie at number 10. So we got a tie between Jeepers Creepers and The Grudge. The Grudge 2004 movie, definitely nostalgia. But I'll read a little synopsis here. So, Matthew Williams, his wife Jennifer, and mother Emma are Americans making a new life in Tokyo. Together they move into a house that has been the site of supernatural occurrences in the past and isn't long before their new home begins terrorizing the Williams family as well. The house, as it turns out, is a site of a curse that lingers in a specific place and claims the lives of anyone who comes near. Ooh. I remember The Grudge. Obviously, 2004, we're talking heyday. I'm like a freshman in high school, so it's like that's when you finally start going to the movies on your own. Very memorable. Not a good movie in my opinion, but this was high on Melissa's list. She didn't really want to come on the podcast because she doesn't really watch spooky movies that much. So, but she did want me to say that the reason she put this so high on her list is she said it still haunts her to this day. Like, it's one of the scariest movies that she has ever seen. Like, it's traumatized her for life.
Is it that scary?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's very creepy, though. And it's funny.
Spooky.
She probably saw it in the theaters with me.
Probably. Yeah, she had it
That's why she doesn't watch any horror movies anymore.
She had it at number 7 on her list. So, like, towards the bottom half of her list. But I think what's makes this movie scary is, like, it's in Japan. And, like, for Americans, I think anything outside of the United States is automatically scary.
The little boy in it is super creepy.
Yeah, that's the other thing. And like, if you remember, like, the poster and, like, the DVD cover, it's just, like, that blue face with the eye, like, just one eye looking out over, like, the wet hair. So, for some reason, wet hair is scary.
I like it. Once you immediately said that, I knew what you were talking about, even though I haven't seen it.
Yeah. So, that made it scary. It's, I mean, it's definitely worthy of the list. It's not my favorite movie by any means, but it obviously has sat with her, so it's definitely going to be, I would say, give it a watch. That was tied at 10 with Jeepers Creepers. 2001, Victor Salvia was the director. Little synopsis on this one. After making a horrific discovery in the basement of an old abandoned church, Trish and her brother Darry watch their routine road trip from their college turn into a heart-stopping race for their lives. They find themselves the chosen prey of an indestructible force that relentlessly pursues them and gives them new and chilling meaning to the old song Jeepers Creepers. So Justin Long he plays Darry.
Okay.
And he's funny. He's a comedian, so it was kind of funny to see him in this role. But yeah, this movie. Have you seen this one, Nick?
Not in a while.
No. Have you seen this one? Ashley?
I have, but not in a while.
Yeah. So
I remembered he was in it. That's probably about it.
This one was actually, I think, high on my list. It was, I had this one number 7 on my list.
Did you give this a rewatch?
I don't need to rewatch it. I watch it.
Okay.
It doesn't even need to be spooky season for me to rewatch this movie. I actually did watch it a few months ago. But it's just, I think the first time I saw it, what was this, 2001? Yeah, I saw it when it came out. I was like 11 years old. And I'm pretty sure I peed my pants when I watched it. Because the villain, he's like a, I don't even know what he is, but he steals body, like, if you have a stronger body part in you, like, I guess the kid had good eyes. Mm-hmm. So he ends up stealing his eyes at the end. Spoiler. But, so he, like, goes around the town just stealing people's body parts and stuff like that. And then he sews them all in his basement into, like, the ceiling and stuff like that. So it's, like, all those visuals and just like, he drives, like, an old, rickety, like, rusty pickup truck. And he just flying down the road at them, like, throughout the entire movie. It's spooky. It's spooky. He goes, because at the beginning, he goes down into the tunnel because he sees the guy dropping a body into the tunnel, and he ends up falling down in there, and then the chase is on after that. So yeah, that one's up there for me. It's one of the ones I watch quite often. It doesn't even have to be Halloween for me to watch it, but yeah. So Ashley, you want to present number 9?
Yes. So for number 9, we actually have a 3-way tie for this one. So I'll start at the top. So the first one for number 9 is Dawn of the Dead. So the first one, and the synopsis for this is when her husband is attacked by a zombified neighbor, Anna manages to escape only to realize her entire Milwaukee neighborhood has been overrun by the Walking Dead. After being questioned by cautious policeman Kenneth, Anna joins him in a small group that gravitates to the local shopping mall as a place for safety. Once they convince suspicious security guards that they are not contaminated, the group bands together to fight the undead zombies.
Love this movie.
This is a good one.
Yeah, I love Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, I haven't seen this one in a while, but I definitely remember, because again, it came out like the same year as The Grudge, so I was probably in like 8th grade, 7th or 8th grade when this came out. Yep. And I think this was actually the first zombie movie I ever saw. Like I had never really seen.
It was probably the first zombie
before.
movie that came out like in
and
while that was
definitely
decent.
in our lifetime. Like, and this is so I had this one high on my list. Well, this one was, number 6 on my list. 2004. Once again, it's like I'm a freshman in high school. Like, and this is what made me fall in love with zombie movies and zombie like TV shows, The Walking Dead, all that stuff. It opened the door for that. Just the survival, and then like what kind of it also shows you like people start being almost as dangerous as the zombies.
Yeah, that whole sort of double-edged sword.
You don't know who you can trust. Yeah.
And there's like Ving Rhames is in it. He's a well-known actor. Like, it's just the survival aspect of it alone. And then there's been so many video games like Dead Rising and things like that, where it's like, you're stuck in a mall and stuff like that. So it's open. I think this movie opened up the door for the entire zombie genre
pretty much, because there's been multiple Dawn of the Deads too, right?
Has there been more than one? I thought that was a really old one.
So the original one, this one is 2004. This is Zack Snyder.
This is the one I feel like people know the most.
Yeah, but before this, I don't remember who did the original one, but it's based off. It's like based off of the old one, but just changed up a little bit.
And then they did like Shaun of the Dead, to kind of like making fun of it.
Yep, I love that movie too. And it has like it also made me like Disturbed, because they Down with the Sickness is like one of the big songs in this movie. So then I started liking Disturbed because of that. But yeah, great zombie movie. Like I said, opened the door for the rest of the zombie genre.
That's a good one. So the next one that we have on here, do you want me to keep going with the 9?
Yeah, and just this is all the 3 picks tied for the 9th place.
Yes, these are all. This is also tied for 9th.
Yep.
So we have Alien, which came out in 1979, Ridley Scott. This is obviously a very popular one. In deep space, the crew of the commercial starship Nostromo is awakened from their crypto sleep capsules halfway through their journey home to investigate a distress call from an alien vessel. The terror begins when the crew encounters a nest of eggs inside the alien ship. An organism from inside an egg leaps out and attaches itself to one of the crew, causing him to fall into a coma. So Alien, I didn't put this on my list specifically, but I do remember when I think I was like 6 or 7. I was way too young.
Yeah.
And I was at my cousin's house, and my older cousin put this movie on. And I remember literally like it was the first time I had ever seen something like really scary.
It's pretty graphic.
And I remember when my parents found out that I'd watched it, my mom was pissed. She was so pissed. And I don't know, maybe this is why I like scary movies now, because of this.
This was on my list, and you could argue too, like it's not really. I wouldn't say it's really. It's more of a sci-fi kind of horror, but I always love this movie. I think it's the suspense and it's really good. I think the android that's in it and like the ship and like the setting of it's like as creepy, I think, as just the premise of it. So I always thought that was really good. Sigourney Weaver obviously is like amazing in it.
Yeah, this was like made her whole career.
I think this is pretty much what broke her.
Yeah, they like definitely focused on Sigourney in this movie, and it opened up the door for her to do a lot of other stuff after that. It's a great movie.
Yeah,
it's not one of my. I don't really consider. I consider it way more of a sci-fi than a horror, but
I like
obviously
a lot of the sci-fi horror stuff.
The chest poppers and all that stuff.
Yeah,
like
it's pretty graphic, and I think at the time too, I think a lot of the special effects in that like still hold up like pretty well. Like it doesn't look like super fake, even though it was made in the late 70s.
Yeah,
which I think is impressive.
I think the whole setting too of it being in space is scary in itself, because it's like you're stuck in space, like where you can't really hide anywhere. So that makes it.
It's probably right around. I mean, probably not too far away from like the Star Wars trilogies, like the early trilogies and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so
you
start getting into space and stuff like that, and the great unknown, what's going on.
I like too that you don't see like the xenomorphs like that much in the movie either. Like it's kind of more of an ending thing.
Yeah,
where you finally see all of it.
Yeah. It's made after this one. It's made 1 million movies.
Oh yeah.
There's a bunch
all the way up to like a lot of bad ones.
Yeah.
The first 2, I think the first 2 are both really good.
Yeah, and it just speaks to it is a good movie.
This is random, but Bill Paxton's like hysterical in the second one.
Paxton.
It's like, man, what's going on, man? Losing my mind. Just like terrified the entire, like acting like a normal person probably would be like in that situation.
Yeah.
Cool.
So the last one we have that's in our group for number 9 is Us, which came out in 2019, directed by Jordan Peele. So for this one, accompanied by her husband, son, and daughter, Adelaide Wilson returns to the beachfront home where she grew up as a child. Haunted by a traumatic experience from the past, Adelaide grows increasingly concerned that something bad is going to happen. Her worst fears soon become a reality when 4 masked strangers descend upon the house, forcing the Wilsons to fight for survival. When the masks come off, the family is horrified to learn that each attacker takes the appearance of one of them. This is a good one.
This is a good one.
Yeah, I didn't put this one on my list, but if I had, like, I guess an honorable mention category, I'd probably put this one in it just because I feel like it was a very unique movie.
Yeah. It's Jordan Peele's, so after, and Jordan Peele's on the list again.
Yeah.
But he's very culturally sensitive, and like his movies have a lot deeper meaning than
they do. Than to
sure.
what you actually see.
Than to what you actually see. And so basically in this movie, this woman and her family find out that there's a complete replicas of them, but they're opposite of them. Mm-hmm. So they're like, they come from under the ground, and they just are there to, they're trying to, the underground people are trying to become
like you said, there's a ton of double meaning.
Right.
They have like
movie.
this weird grunting way of speaking, and
yep. And it's, so the entire movie is just, you're trying to figure out, all right, why are these people here? And then it's just, it gets real weird, and it gets real confusing at some points, but then at the end it kind of, like, you kind of got to read a little bit afterwards to be like, oh, this is what they're talking about. Because I think at the beginning of the movie, there's like a movie on the shelf, and it's like People from Underground or something like that.
Yeah, I remember that.
And which is a real movie. And so that's like Jordan Peele's like little foreshadowing into what's going to happen in this movie. And yeah, it's just so strange because the way that those people act is just so unsettling, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's weird because, imagine like, because I remember one scene that stuck out to me is, remember they look out the window and they're just standing there, just staring at them, and it's literally just them staring at them. It's,
and then they have, it's like a little boy, so it's a regular little boy, and then his like alternate is like, loves playing with fire, and his face is all burned up and stuff like that. So it's like, there's a lot of visual things. Like, there's like this weird white family that like is like, they're like always fighting, and then the other people come in and they like love each other, but they
I forgot about that.
They like kill all of them. So it's it's a good movie. It's definitely very deep. It's definitely Jordan Peele-y.
It is, yeah. I definitely remember like having to read more into it after I finished it, because I was like, I think I know what I just watched, but like I feel like there's stuff that I didn't even catch on to.
And then even at the end, spoiler alert for the end, like you don't even know if which person got,
because they look,
because like the woman, you don't know if it's her or the alternate that kind of like saves her family.
Which is a good ending.
Well, spoiler alert, Adelaide. So basically what happened was, with that traumatic event, when she was the little girl, she basically got switched with her alter. So her real self ended up staying underground, and her alter just learned, because when they found her, she wouldn't speak, and they thought, oh, she just went through a traumatic event. But because she didn't know how to speak, she had to basically, it's almost like she became, she was herself, but became like human.
It's deep.
It's deep. Yeah. It's deep. That was a good one.
All right, man. Let's get into number 8.
Cool. So for 8, we have a 4-way tie.
Shocker, we got another tie.
4-way tie.
This is a 4-way.
Because of how we combine these. That's cool. So we got 28 Days Later, The Shining, Shutter Island, and Scream. So the first one, 28 Days Later, is by Danny Boyle. A group of misguided animal rights activists free a caged chimp infected with a rage virus from a medical research lab. When London bike courier Jim wakes up from a coma a month after, he finds his city all but deserted. On the run from the zombie-like victims of the rage, Jim stumbles upon a group of survivors, including Selena and cab driver Frank, and joins them on a perilous journey to what he hopes will be safety. I haven't seen this in a long time either.
I love this movie. This was number 3 on my list. I love 28 Days Later. I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, this is incredible, because up to that point, you're talking Dawn of the Dead, all slow, shambling zombies. These were like rage zombies. They ran around, they got wild, their faces were insane, and it was just...
That is an interesting point you made. I didn't think of that. It's like they're like the first like athletic zombies, sort of like crazy zombies. They're just tearing
through the town. And this is, for me, this is the first time I saw Cillian Murphy. Cillian Murphy's huge. Mm-hmm. Like, he's in everything now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this was very young Cillian Murphy, and like it's grainy. I don't know what the budget was in this movie, but it's a grainy, like he's in, I think they're in England or somewhere over in Europe, and it's like everything looks kind of different. Mm-hmm. The footage kind of looks kind of like hazy.
Yeah, it's dark. I don't know if they did that intentionally, like you said, or if it was because of the budget, but it works either way.
So it's once again, it's survival, and then they finally meet up with the people that's supposed to be helping everybody and save everybody, and it's the military, but then they're like the bad guys because they're like trying to rape the women and all that stuff, and so it's a lot of the zombie movie tropes that it has, like all the good stuff that you love from a zombie movie, but then it's like ramped up because these zombies are absolutely insane. It's like I said, it's one of my favorite movies for sure. I love 28 Days Later. I love it.
All right, next up we had The Shining by Stanley Kubrick. Probably like that doesn't really need too much of an intro. Just in case
based off the Stephen King novel.
Yeah, just in case you've been living under a rock, I'll read the synopsis. Jack Torrance becomes a winter caretaker at the isolated Overlook Hotel in Colorado, hoping to cure his writer's block. He settles in along with his wife Wendy and his son Danny, who is plagued by psychic premonitions. As Jack's writing goes nowhere and Danny's visions become more disturbing, Jack discovers the hotel's dark secrets and begins to unravel into a homicidal maniac hell-bent on terrorizing his family. So yeah, that's a pretty rough summary.
Yeah.
So I think this was on probably a few. Was this on all our lists?
I think it was just on yours.
Or was it just
you
on
had
ours?
You had it at number 3.
On your list. Yeah.
You had it at number 3 on your list.
Nobody else said that. Yeah, so I'll say the first time I ever watched this, I was like 13 or 14 by myself at my parents' house, and it was a poor decision.
Yeah.
I definitely didn't sleep. I wasn't like terrified, but definitely didn't sleep that well that night. It's just creepy. The kid starts talking to his finger and stuff. Yeah. Man, it's just like
Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good movie though.
It's the fun part about The Shining, well, not fun, but what makes it so like, I guess, spooky is how unsettled you are the entire movie, because you're watching Jack Nicholson. He does a fantastic job.
You're watching him go crazy,
right?
Pretty much.
You're watching him slowly unravel, and then you get all the random imagery. You get all the blood coming out of the elevators. Yep. You get the 2 little girls.
Oh, those twins.
Oh yeah, the 2 little girls in the hallway. You get the weird bear blowing that dude on the bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so there's so much of this weird imagery going on, and then the kid talking to his finger, the guy losing his mind, throwing tennis balls in this big empty thing, talking to a waiter or the bartender that's not really there.
That crazy maze.
Yeah. The maze.
But in the end, too, it's all supposed to be because that kid has The Shining, though, or whatever they call The Shining, right? The dude in the beginning like says that.
So the kid has The Shining, but the hotel itself.
Which I don't know if that means that he makes everybody psychotic around him because he's like a...
No, it's the hotel itself. The hotel itself was like a portal to hell, I think.
Yeah.
And that's what's weird, is it's such a mental, like... It's just a mind fuck. Like, it just messes with your head the entire time.
Well, even right up to the end where they show that they basically have Jack Nicholson in an old photo, but it's like in like some sort of like
from
big
like
party photo they had from the 20s
right.
or whatever. So it's like they're making it out like they got possessed or something by other people.
You got all of that happening, and then you also have the underlying, like, they're isolated on a snowed out mountain in Colorado that nobody can even go help this poor family that's up there.
They're basically snowed in.
Yeah,
I think the actual hotel they used, I want to say, was somewhere in the Northeast, though. It's not. It wasn't.
So you can
Colorado.
actually go to the Stanley Hotel. It's in Colorado. Like I'm pretty sure it's actually in Colorado.
Oh, really?
Somewhere.
I thought it wasn't actually filmed there.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
I think too what's interesting about this movie, and I think one of the reasons why so it's like I like this movie, but I think it's once I kind of learned more about it and learned about like the making of it, it kind of like tainted it for me. So Stanley Kubrick, I mean, he's a brilliant director.
Well,
I've seen a lot of stuff he's made, but he was like, he would do absolutely absurd things when making this movie. Like, I've read things about how, like, Shelley Duvall, he made her do the scene where she's screaming and running away from Jack Nicklaus. He made her do it like 170 times or something. And like, he was so critical of every aspect of the film, to the point of like, it was almost like why? So I think once I learned a lot about how this movie was made,
it took some of the
it kind of tainted it for me. Yeah, it took some of the shining out of it for me. I don't know. Yeah, and it's funny. Because I like to watch like interviews and stuff about movies. I've seen interviews with Stephen King where this was like his least favorite adaptation of his.
I've heard that
said.
He hasn't liked almost any movie that's.
But this one especially, he did not like.
Yeah, I don't know if they changed it though. I've never read the book.
It's weird. It's weird. And then I think they remade it too. I'm pretty sure they remade it, but then they did the sequel.
They did like a TV series.
Yeah,
Dr. Sleep is supposed to be like a prequel or a sequel.
It's either the prequel or the sequel. And let me tell you, that's the only movie as an adult that I turned off because I was like, this is too much.
Because it was that creepy.
It was too much for him.
He gets really, like Stephen King gets really dark sometimes.
Yeah, it was
like, I feel like it and The Shining are not even that dark compared to a lot of the books that he. Again, I haven't read a lot of his stuff. I know like a couple family members that have read
a couple of his.
There's been a few books though where there's been a few books though I think my uncle was reading where he's like, I just was like, it freaks you out too much.
Just the level of detail.
I think you have too much of an imagination to read.
I think we have a soft spot for him here because we're from New England, and that's where he does all his writing, and
he's
a
big
at the
Mainer.
Red Sox games, and all that stuff. So good movie.
So The Shining, and I think that's probably one of these on that list too. That it's probably one of, I'm sure it's in a bunch of top 10 horror movies of all 100%. Time. It's tough to beat. All right, Shutter Island, by Martin Scorsese. I didn't realize he actually did that. Scorsese.
Well, Leo's in it. So obviously,
I mean that doesn't mean that
they partner a lot.
The implausible escape of a brilliant murderess brings U.S. Marshal Teddy Daniels and his new partner to Ashcliffe Hospital, a fortress-like insane asylum located on a remote, windswept island. The woman appears to have vanished from a locked room, and there are hints of terrible deeds committed within the hospital walls. As the investigation deepens, Teddy realizes he will have to confront his own dark fears if he hopes to make it off the island alive.
Shutter Island.
Yeah.
I love Shutter Island.
Me too.
It's a good movie.
I don't consider it a horror movie, though. I think that's why I didn't think of it.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I mean, there's some spooky parts.
It's like a thriller.
It's a psychological thriller. Yeah, it's a psychological thriller. Yep. So it's spooky. It makes it spooky.
It's spooky.
But yeah, this one's fun because even at the end, you're like, basically what happens is Leonardo DiCaprio is like a detective trying to solve this missing person, and you find out at the end that he might be like in the insane asylum, and like they just kind of just let him
they're just
be a detective.
They're just humoring him.
They're just kind of humoring him. So it gets kind of weird, and then it gets kind of like I don't know, the twist, like the big twist. It's not a Shyamalan twist, but it's a twist. But and obviously Leonardo DiCaprio does a great job. Like he does. I think he's the actor of our generation, like our lifetime. I think he might be one of the best actors of our lifetime. So
I agree.
It's
for sure.
This was on Melissa's list. She's the one that had this one.
Shutter Island.
Yeah, I think she had it pretty high too.
Yeah, number 3.
Yeah, she had it number 3. So
I think this is one of those ones when it came out, they marketed it as almost like a horror movie too, but it like isn't. It reminds me of like what's the M. Night Shyamalan one? That's not really. The Village.
The Village.
Where it's kind of like
Shyamalan.
That was a good twist too. All right, and our final tied for number 8 is Scream by Wes Craven. A year after the murder of her mother, a teenage girl is terrorized by a masked killer who targets her and her friends by using scary movies as part of a deadly game.
This is the smallest synopsis because this is the worst plot of a movie.
I mean, this is basically what it's about. So I don't know. I love Scream. I think it's just because it's like, it's almost like a scary movie that's like making fun of itself, kind of like. Right. I feel like I don't take it seriously as an actual scary movie, even though like.
I'm with Josh. Like I don't know, maybe if I just didn't watch it when I was young enough, but I feel like it's one of those movies where everybody I know that really like that I like it. No offense to people that came of age more than we did. We were more in the early 2000s because of age. But I feel like if you were a teenager in the 90s, like you love Scream. It's just kind of one of those things because it was like iconic at the time, but like I feel like it doesn't hold up.
I'm sorry, the cast of Scream like is like the 90s lineup, like Courtney Cox, Neve Campbell, what's his name? The guy who played like Shaggy and Scooby Doo's in it. Matthew, whatever his name is.
Oh no, is it him?
Yeah, it is.
Oh yeah, it is.
Yep.
Matthew, I forget his last name, but he played like Shaggy and Scooby-Doo.
He's in a bunch of early 2000s movies.
Yeah. I don't know. Drew Barrymore makes like a cameo in the beginning.
She
that's right.
With the Jiffy Pop. And
you know what's funny is like I would like to see the trailer because I'm sure they like put her in it. People are like Drew Barrymore's in it. And like one of those, she dies within 2 minutes.
I actually read somewhere that she actually wanted to be... She wanted to be in this movie because she thought it was funny because at the time she was huge, like she was a huge actress. So she thought it would be funny to star in a movie and die in the very beginning. She just thought that would be funny. Yeah.
The cool thing about Scream is it's a different, like you never seen that face before. That mask is iconic.
No. Oh yeah, absolutely.
You didn't own a Scream mask when you went.
More people probably have seen the Scream mask than know what it's actually.
And it's funny because it's like it's not even. I don't know. It's like it's supposed to be scary, but it's like kind of funny at the same time. Like it's like so like goofy.
Yeah,
looking.
I'd be curious if like it had to be like a random Halloween mask before they actually used it for that movie.
I don't know like where they came up with the idea, but
it'd be interesting to look up if that was like if the mask came before the movie or if the mask. I feel like it probably.
I think it's based off the. What's that? The Van Gogh painting.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The Scream. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's why. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That makes
sense.
That's
what it's based off.
That makes sense.
I don't know. I'll always have.
Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty
Fact checkers be damned.
Yeah. I'll always have a soft spot for Scream. I don't know. I put it on my list. It's one of those movies I like to watch around this time of year.
It's a great slasher movie. I'm not into like I'm more. I like a plot. I like a twist. I like all that stuff. So it's a great slasher movie, but.
Josh is a cultured movie.
Yeah. It's funny.
I'm a cultured man.
I like my cultured, like well-made, deep movies, but every once in a while, I gotta have like my slasher movie.
I know what you mean.
Yeah,
I know what you mean.
Man, I'm looking forward to 7. You want to lead us into it?
Yeah, 7. So, number 7 on our list, we got another tie, 3-way tie this time. So I'll actually start with the bottom. So the first one we'll talk about for number 7 is Split. 2016, you'll hear this name a few times. M. Night Shyamalan. It's an M. Night Shyamalan movie. So, synopsis. Though Kevin has evidenced 23 personalities to his trusted psychiatrist, Dr. Fletcher, there remains one still submerged who is set to materialize and dominate all of the others. Compelled to abduct 3 teenage girls led by the willful, observant Casey, Kevin reaches a war for survival among all of those contained within him, as well as everyone around him, as the walls between his compartments shatter. Split. What like a game changer Split was. I thought Split was so cool.
I liked Split. Cool. I think I saw it when it first came out, and I don't think I've seen it since.
No.
I've seen it. I thought I watched it with you.
You probably did, yeah. I probably made you watch it with me.
I think the cool thing about Split is like 2016, like getting into the later 2010s, 2016, like closer to 2020s, like mental health became a huge thing. Like it became okay to talk about mental health in the country and stuff like that. So now you're talking about split personalities, and that becomes scary on its own because this guy has 23 different personalities, and he does such a good job.
He does do a great job.
He does a great job.
He does. I do remember like being really impressed by
James McAvoy.
Yep.
Yeah.
James McAvoy does a fantastic job. He's good. He's good in most movies that he does, but
in this movie, especially good job.
Yeah, just change the way that he just morphs his body.
Yeah, I think that was the
like
most impressive thing to me about the entire movie.
Yeah. And what's her face? Old Wide Eyes. That plays the girl. We'll have to look it up. She's on another one of the movies coming up, but
Old Wide Eyes.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Anya Taylor-Joy.
I know. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I just think of her as the chess one.
Yeah, Queen's Gambit. Yeah.
Oh man.
Anya Taylor-Joy. Yeah, she does a great job in the movie.
If you ever listen to this podcast, we didn't mean it.
I'm sorry, Anya. I'm a big fan. Love actually a lot of her movies. We have another one coming up. But yeah, it's just the idea of this one guy holding the 23 personalities is already weird enough. But then you find out like the last one is like the Beast, and then that one gets that gets scary. And then there's like it's like a trilogy. It's Broken.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's Broken, this one, and then I think Glass is the last one.
I've only seen Split. I haven't seen the other two.
So it's like the Bruce Willis one is the first one where he's like, I don't know if he's invincible, but he's like super strong. And then it's this one, and then Glass is Samuel L. Jackson. He's like a evil mastermind that but he has like he's like has that disease where you can just your bones break super easy. So it's like it becomes a trilogy at the end. But yeah, it's a good movie. It's not super scary, but definitely worthy. So that was Split.
Nick's excited for this next one.
I'm excited for this one.
So next thing for number 7, we have The Thing, 1982, John Carpenter, great director. In remote Antarctica, a group of American research scientists are disturbed at their base camp by a helicopter shooting at a sled dog. When they take in the dog, it brutally attacks both human beings and canines in the camp, and they discover that the beast can assume the shape of its victims. A resourceful helicopter pilot and the camp doctor lead the camp crew in a desperate, gory battle against the vicious creature before it picks them all off one by one.
Yeah, so this is probably like one of my favorite sci-fi horror movies.
Yeah.
I think what's funny about this, though, it buries the lead that it's supposed to be basically an alien the entire time that does this. Like, they call it The Thing, but
It's
they
an
find
alien.
they
It looks like an alien.
No, but in the
You see
movie
it.
they find like a crashed spaceship in the ice and stuff.
Yeah.
Like there's supposed to be like a UFO investigation thing.
You had this super high on your list.
Yeah, I did. This was
Number
like
two.
number 2.
Number 2
Yeah.
on your list.
Yeah, I really enjoy this movie. I think the plot's really good. It's one of those two where it's like humans are just as dangerous as like whatever they're trying to kill. And
Panic.
yeah, and the whole setting too of the fact that they're in like Antarctica, and they actually filmed it I forget where exactly they filmed it. It was like Norway or something, but they filmed it somewhere like ridiculously cold at the time. And it's got good. I think John Carpenter always has good music in any of his stuff. It's got a very like notable like,
It's like
probably more people have heard like the
boom.
intro to it than they probably have actually seen the movie and stuff.
Yeah. And it's got Kurt Russell.
Yeah,
dude.
and Kurt Russell's awesome in it. Like
Yeah.
he's just it's kind of cool. I just like the whole vibe of the movie of like just like a bunch of like people just trapped in Antarctica on like a research base.
Yeah.
That's kind of a
almost
vibe in
like being
itself.
filmed in space.
Right.
Like, you know,
It's the big theme of
Yeah.
you got the fear.
Yeah.
And then you got the fear of, well, you know that this thing could be anybody.
Yeah.
So who's the enemy? Like, that's what makes that movie like super scary.
I like
And-
when they do that scene where they're doing the test to see like who has.
The blood like jumps out of it. They like learn that it doesn't like heat, so they were like heating up the needle with like a flamethrower, and like the blood jumps out of the pan.
And doesn't it
It's
end by
pretty wild.
he just burns down the whole base?
That's what I was gonna say. It's
I
probably
love
one of
the
my
ending.
favorite
I love the
endings
ending.
of like any movie, because it literally is just like I forget who survives with Kurt Russell's character.
Russell and
I don't know if it's Childs or whoever ends up.
I forget too.
But either way, it's like the two of them, like they're just sipping whiskey, and he's like, "So what do we do now?" After, because they basically just decide that they need to burn the entire base down because the thing doesn't.
They're basically
like, heat.
just gonna freeze to death.
Right.
And they're just like I guess they're just like sipping like a bottle of whiskey or like a flask that Kurt Russell has, and they're like, I guess we'll just wait around and see what happens.
Yeah.
And they just like, and then the movie just like ends, so you don't really know what happens if it gets out or anything like that. They've remade it and it kind of sucked,
Right.
and like, or like I think it was supposed to be a sequel, but
I think the
Nothing beats the
original
first one.
thing came out in like the 30s.
yeah, and it's a
or the
remake of a
40s,
really
a
old
while
horror
ago.
movie, like an old British horror movie.
This is John Carpenter hitting his stride.
Yeah.
Yep,
That's
this was
what it
after he
is.
did Halloween.
Yeah.
And there's also, at the time too, I think a lot of the special effects and gore in it was like just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like there's some ridiculous scenes in that, like where the guy's like head like pops up off the table. It's funny because it's like tongue in cheek too, because like there's moments where like there's that part where like the guy's head literally, they're like burning his body, and the head like literally jumps off the body and walks away with like spider legs. And like one of the dudes is like, "What the fuck is that?" Like, and he's just like, he's reacting like a normal person would just be like, "Jesus, dude, like what is that?"
It's pretty outrageous.
The Thing's good. That's a good one. And so the last one to round out number 7, we got The Witch. 2015, Robert Eggers is the director. So the synopsis on this one, set in New England circa 1630, The Witch follows a farmer and his family who get cast out of his colonial plantation and is forced to move his family to a remote part of land on the edge of an ominous forest, rumored to be controlled by witches. Almost immediately, strange and unsettling things begin to happen. The animals turn violent, the crops fail, and one of the children disappears, only to return seemingly possessed by an evil spirit. As suspicion and paranoia mount, everyone begins to point fingers at teenage daughter Thomason. They accuse her of witchcraft, which she adamantly denies. But as the circumstances become more and more treacherous, each family member's faith, loyalty, and love will be tested in shocking and unforgettable ways. So, have either of you guys seen The Witch?
I have, yeah. Okay. I saw it when it first came out. This is one I want to rewatch.
Yeah, this one is another one where it's like the sense of dread that you carry the entire movie is like unsettling because you're like, what is happening? So, because basically they're a Puritan family that get kicked out of the town that they're in because they don't agree with the way that the church in that town is following the Bible. Mm-hmm. So they leave and they keep their faith and they do what they want to do, but things start falling apart. And they have this black goat that so it's a family of 5, but early on it's a baby. It gets pulled away into the woods and they can't find it. And they say a wolf took it, but it was like witches. So, and then there's this black goat that these 2 little twins talk to the goat, and like they all think that they're just like playing around with the goat and being little kids. But then at the end, you find out like the goat's been the devil the whole time.
Oh, jeez.
It's messed up, dude. Like, it's messed up.
You have this one high on your list.
Yeah, I had. What was this, 2? Yeah. This movie, because it just messes with your head so much and just sticks with you because it's the goat thing's weird. The way that this guy loses his mind because his family's like falling apart and they're like a super like religious family. So it's like the son gets possessed by something, like he gets lost in the woods and the witches find him, and then it's a whole like
I'll have to go back and watch it.
It's just very unsettling.
Did you watch this with me? I can't remember.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm pretty sure I haven't seen it.
Like the music in it is like unsettling. Like it's just one of those movies that just it's just creepy the whole way through. Yeah, it just gets real weird.
All right, are we at number
6? Number
6, only 2 this time.
I'm excited for this one. So for number 6, we have a 2-way tie between Creepshow and Don't Breathe. So I'll do Creepshow first. So that came out in 1982 by George Romero. So this is basically a compilation of 5 short but terrifying tales contained within a single full-length feature. This film conjures scares from traditional boogeymen and portents of doom. In one story, a monster escapes from its holding cell. Another focuses on a husband with a creative way to get back at his cheating wife. Other stories concern a rural man and a visitor from outer space and a homeowner with huge bug problems and a boozing corpse. So this one was pretty high on my list.
Yeah.
And it's funny
you
because...
You guys both had this one.
Yeah. So what's funny about this one, so came out in 1982. I actually didn't see this movie until 2019 when we went to go visit his cousins Val and Greg in North Carolina. And one of the nights we were there,
we just ended
Val knows that I like scary movies and stuff. She's really into
like,
scary movies too. And we were talking about different movies, and she mentioned,
I think they're all short stories by Stephen King.
They are. So Stephen King did the screenplay to this.
Yep. Yeah.
So
and he's in one of them.
He is. Yep. So she was like, "Oh, you've never seen Creepshow?" She's like, "We got to put it on." And she's like, "It's fun. It's honestly, it's very like I was saying it before. It's very campy. Like it's
like it starts out like with a comic basically.
I wouldn't say it's like
thing.
I don't know. It's hard to describe. I would say it's definitely like horror, but it's very like
Yeah, it's creepy, but it
It's
deals
spooky.
with. They all have.
Spooky,
There's
sure.
all like human elements though in it too. With like the one that's like with like the beast under the stairs, and like the guy ends up like trying to feed his wife to it. Like there's
It's
a lot
funny.
of
There's
different.
a lot
like,
of dark humor in each of
there's
them.
a bunch of dark humor. in it.
Yeah, so like I think every single one of them has elements of like dark humor.
sure.
So like
Right.
the one where there's this like prehistoric like monster that lives in this like box that's kept under
Yeah.
the stairs at this like
Yeah,
college.
it's supposed to be like
Yeah.
it's like a box from the Himalayas or something
Yeah,
like that.
and it's like this this professor, his wife is like super annoying and like super naggy, and like you can tell he like fantasizes about like
Right.
killing
Killing
her multiple times, and then like it basically he ends up feeding her to this thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, and it's like his ultimate like redemption, and then he just is like, all right, and he
Yeah,
dumps
there's
them.
ones that are like the one that Stephen King's in himself, where basically like a asteroid or like meteor lands in his backyard, and then like it's like within a course of hours, like it starts growing, like his whole like yard is like growing this plant sort of fungus looking thing,
Yeah.
and eventually it like gets on him too.
So
There's this super funny scene too where I was just gonna mention where like he just like pours like half a thing of like a handle of vodka, like
He
in
makes
with
himself
orange
a
juice.
wicked strong like screwdriver and just starts
and he's
like chugging
to like
it.
try to like remedy the fact that it's like growing on him and shit.
So I've seen it. I've had this movie on.
Yeah.
It's never engaged me for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why. But I will say, so this movie, I think, kind of opened up the door. So I don't know if you guys have seen movies like Trick or Treat.
I have.
So
yeah.
it's like it opened up the door for the movies that have different stories going on within the same movie. Like Trick or Treat, it ties it all together at the end, but there's
Yeah.
like different.
Yeah, these are just all
Stories happen.
completely
Right.
separate, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
like 5 mini episodes.
And they all take place in Maine, which makes
Yeah.
sense because that's where Stephen King
Yeah.
is from.
The one with Leslie Nielsen's good too.
Yeah.
Leslie
I can
Nielsen.
hold my breath for a very, very long time.
And there's a lot of like actors that were famous at the time that people would know now.
Yeah,
like Ted Danson's in
Danson's
it,
in
before he did Cheers.
Yeah.
Who else is in it too? That's oh my god, what's his name? I'm blanking. Ed Harris is in it.
Yeah, that's right. Ed Harris is in one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
I don't know. And again, it's one of those movies that I like to watch every year around this time. But yeah,
This is a must watch every year.
it is. Yeah.
For sure. For
And
us.
thanks, Val, for showing it to
Yeah,
us.
thank you. Friend and family of the podcast, Val.
Yes. So the next one we have, which I've admittedly never seen, is Don't Breathe. That one came out in 2016 by Fede Alvarez. Fede Alvarez. So Rocky, Alex, and Money are three Detroit thieves who get their kicks by breaking into houses of wealthy people. Money gets a word about a blind veteran who won a major cash settlement following the death of his only child. Figuring he's an easy target, the trio invades the man's secluded home in an abandoned neighborhood. Finding themselves trapped inside, the young intruders must fight for their lives after making a shocking discovery about their supposedly helpless victim.
Have you
That
seen?
sounds really good.
Yeah. Have you seen this one?
No, this
haven't
is
seen
like
it.
the
You
only
haven't seen this one?
this is like the
Oh,
only
so-
one I haven't seen on this list.
So let me tell you about this one. Don't Breathe. So I think Melissa and I, and you can tell that
No spoilers though, because I do kind of want to see it.
You can tell that Melissa and I are married, and you guys are married because we both had this on our list. Like you guys both had
Yep.
Creep Show on your list. This movie, so it's just like you just read in the synopsis. So it's a former veteran. He's blind, gets a big cash settlement. These guys break into their house to try to steal his money. The kid works for the backstory for the kid is he works for the security company that this guy has the security system for. So that's what they do. They break into the houses because they know how to get into the houses because his dad owns the security company. So, but then they break into this guy's house thinking, oh, he's a blind old man. We're just going to steal that money and get out of there. But the guy's got traps everywhere. He's an ex-veteran, and it gets brutal. And then there's an even bigger twist at the end, and I will not spoil it.
Yeah, I
but
appreciate that.
it's one of the, for the modern like horror movies. This is really, really good. And I forget the actor's name, but it's the guy that plays the. Have you seen Avatar?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like whoever the bad general is, the guy with the short white hair.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he plays the blind ex-veteran. So it's Yeah, it gets really brutal.
Is it like a supernatural twist? Can I ask about that?
No, it's not.
Okay.
No,
maybe we can watch it tonight, Nick.
Yeah,
I'm intrigued.
It's so natural, and it's a lot, dude. But yeah, you guys will enjoy that one. Like I said, for the new age horror, not comedy, but horror or spooky movies, like it's up there. It's gory though.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah,
gore doesn't really bother me.
You'll be okay. You'll be okay then.
All right, cool. So I think that wraps up our 6th place ones. And moving on. Whoa, we have a single. We got a single. This was on all our lists. I know that.
We only,
And so number 5 is The Sixth Sense. I don't know if you really need a big intro for that, by M. Night Shyamalan. Another one.
Shyamalan.
Young Cole Sear is haunted by a dark secret. He is visited by ghosts. Cole is frightened by visitations from those with unresolved problems who appear from the shadows. He is too afraid to tell anyone about his anguish except child psychologist Dr. Malcolm Crowe. As Dr. Crowe tries to uncover the truth about Cole's supernatural abilities, the consequences for client and therapist are a jolt that awakens them both to something unexplainable. Ooh. I think it's pretty explainable in the end, though.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure most people know the ending of this movie.
He sees ghosts and Bruce Willis realizes he's the dead ghost that has unresolved problems.
Yeah, yeah, that's the big twist. The twist, it's wild. It's one of the best.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
And I had this pretty high on my list. I think a few of us had it on our list. Maybe
I had it on my list.
Yeah,
it's always been one of my favorites.
It's the twist at the end of this movie might be one of the best twists in a movie I've ever seen. Like the fact that Bruce Willis this entire time you think is like this therapist for this kid.
Yeah, you think he's like the main character,
right?
Almost.
And then you find out at the end that he's been dead. He got killed by freaking Donnie Wahlberg at the beginning.
Yeah, that's right. That is Donnie Wahlberg.
He gets killed by Donnie Wahlberg in his underwear.
Oh no!
Yeah. I forgot that was
I'm gonna
him.
kill Bruce Willis.
Oh man,
you can't smoke in here. But this movie's also it's
scary,
super scary, dude. I remember when I saw this
it's
movie,
creepy.
When he's in the tent in his room, and he's like turning on and off the flashlight in his tent, and then that girl with the vomit all over her just pops up next to his face, dude. Oh my word!
That was young Misha Barton.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh my lord, dude! That part.
The whole film too. It's like all. It's not in black and white, but there's only black and white colors and like reds and stuff in it. Like if you watch it, like there's not a lot of color in the entire movie.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's very dark and rain and like just it's and like it is outside today.
And I think the little boy Haley Joel Osment who played Cole, I think did he get an Oscar? I think he was the youngest person to get an Oscar or be nominated. I forget.
That's a good trivia.
He did an amazing job though. Like the whole movie was just extremely well done.
I love that movie. It's like I said, the psychological part of it, and just the fact that the kid's in school and he's got people hanging. You see people hanging in the hallways.
Yeah, because it was like an old building. It used to be like a prison or a jail or like a courthouse or something. Right. Yeah.
And then when he gets locked in that room.
Oh,
when he's at the birthday
party.
There's so many spooky moments.
That haunts me to this day when he's at the birthday party and they lock him in that room.
Yep. It's crazy.
And his mom who I really like her as an actress, the one who plays the mom.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what's her name? Toni Collette.
Oh yeah,
she's in that too.
Yeah, she's good.
There's a lot of good people in that movie.
It's a great movie. Oh, and then you find out he finds out he has to help them. Like the mom was poisoning her daughter that whole time. Like it's just such
there's
a good
lot.
movie.
Yeah,
there's a lot going on.
When you guys saw it for the first time, did you know he was a ghost?
No.
Did somebody?
No,
okay, good. Because see, I remember my mom watched it. I remember, and she made the mistake like you with The Shining, where my dad was traveling and she watched it by herself in her room.
Yeah, your mom's
and my mom was like,
either.
all I kept thinking is there's probably been a couple people who have died in this very room because they live in they live in an old house. And she was like, why am I watching this? And she said, and I remember like being like, when you're a little bit older, you need to watch that movie. She was like, I'm not going to tell you what happened. Yeah. And I think I watched it maybe when I was like, I don't know, maybe a couple years after it came out. Yeah. And I had no idea.
That toes that line too, like you were mentioning, Josh, though, where it's like super psychological and it's just really like it's gory in parts and stuff, and it's just really
a lot of very
really
disturbing imagery in that movie.
Right. Yeah. That's what makes it so good, I think, and yeah, I think it's Shyamalan's best movie.
Yeah, I mean,
I know he's made $1 million, and he kind of gets a lot. He gets a lot of flack like for stuff that he's made recently, but
Yeah.
like it's hard. It's how do you top?
Yeah,
The
how do you
Sixth
top
Sense?
that?
Yeah,
How
he
do you
almost
top
kind
it?
of screwed himself with this movie in a way because he's
Yeah.
never going to make an ending that's good again.
No,
Like
never.
it's-
And yeah, it's just like he's just chasing that high, and
Yeah.
it's never gonna happen
Yeah.
again. It's okay. You can just make M. Night Shyamalan. I know you're listening. You can just make okay movies. It's okay.
He's got
You
some
don't
good
need
twists,
another
though.
Sixth
There's
Sense.
some other movies he does that
Yeah,
have good
he
twists.
does.
It's pretty damn tough to beat the twist.
It'll
in the movie.
never beat this. It'll never beat this. Back
All
to
right.
me for
Yeah,
number
you
4.
want to take us on 4 with the tie?
Ooh, I'm excited about these
Number
next,
4.
These next ones.
Another tie. The last tie of the list, though. Last tie of the list. So we got at number 4. I'll start with we got the Blair Witch Project, 1999, directed by Daniel Myrick. So the synopsis: found video footage tells the tale of 3 film students who travel to a small town to collect documentary footage about the Blair Witch, a legendary local murderer. Over the course of several days, the students interview townspeople and gather clues to support the tale's veracity, but the project takes a frightening turn when the students lose their way in the woods and begin hearing horrific noises. Bum, bum, bum.
I think this was on all of our lists, right? Or most of
No,
our lists.
I don't like this movie.
You didn't like the Blair Witch?
I love the Blair
I
Witch.
think-
That's just unpopular.
I think The Blair Witch is a terrible movie, to be honest with
It
I don't know.
it
I
inspired a lot of other
Yeah.
movies. I will
Yeah.
say
you.
that.
It's the thing that they did right was it's the first movie of this kind, found footage, and it was before the internet was a huge thing. So I think the idea behind it and the marketing that they had for it was
Yeah, I was like, someone just found this.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Well, some people when it came out, people literally thought
Right.
this was like found footage.
Exactly.
Like
So it became this national phenomenon when it came out, and then when you find out it's not real, and then you watch it, it's like, okay, this is a lot of just being lost in the woods. Like it's for me. But I know you guys had this high, so you guys can glow about it.
I think what I like about this is
You
it
don't
showed
see- you don't
that
see
to
much
make
either.
something scary, you don't need to show a lot.
Yeah.
And I think this movie did an awesome job because you never actually see the Blair Witch. You never see her. You just
Right.
have to believe that
No.
Right, it
she's
exists.
there, right? Like
There's a
I
lot
think
of
that's what I really
foreshadowing
like
in the
about
entire
it.
story too, like right up to the end where like they talk about how like when the Blair Witch like kills people, like one person would face the corner while the other one was getting killed because like the Blair Witch or the serial killer that they talk about like wouldn't want the other kid to watch while he was killing one of the kids. So it's like
Yeah.
it's kind of how it ends.
I think it's another one of those like the unknown and like what's happening makes it a lot scary because like the whole time they're panicking, they wonder if it's somebody else. They start losing their minds because they're lost in their woods, so they're worried about that. Then they're worried about this witch. Like it becomes that's what makes it kind of scary.
I agree. And I think the whole concept, like, especially as people who like walk around in the woods a lot and go hiking, the whole
Yeah.
concept of being lost in the woods like that is like terrifying, where like they literally are using a compass and they're walking all day only to end up in the same spot.
Yeah.
Like, how terrifying
Yeah,
is
it's
that?
it's pretty creepy. I think it's creepy when one of the dudes disappears too, and like I got to look up too that part in the movie. I don't know if they find his eyeballs or whatever in like the little wood thing
Yeah.
or something
Yeah.
like that.
And they hear him screaming, but
Or
they
his
don't know where
tongue
he
or something like
is.
that.
Like,
When they finally get to the house at the end, that's like, I think that's my favorite part.
Yeah.
well, that's like where all the action.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's
all
where
the
everything
action's at.
happens.
Yeah.
But again, you don't really see anything.
Right.
You just see a creepy house and.
Right. I think this is another low budget film too.
Oh, extremely
yeah.
low
Yeah.
budget. I want to say it like because there's been many low budget like horror movies, but I think this one was literally like 10 grand. or
I know it
something
was. I
crazy
think
to
that
me.
came up in that was on a Minty episode that we watched. But the girl who plays like the main character in it, like
Heather,
was
yeah.
she actually was afraid. Like she brought like a gun with her because she was afraid that they were gonna like turn on her and they were making like a snuff film or something.
Because they told
Really? 'Cause
them
it was
like
that-
nothing,
they
so
didn't
the
tell
people
them
the
anything.
people in it got like literally no information
So
about
she was
what they were
like,
doing.
was like legitimately like, what are we doing out in
Yeah.
the middle of
And
the
I
woods?
think
And
they
they
did
went
it
to
to
the
make
middle,
them seem
and they like very
scared
much
and-
went to like the middle of nowhere and like
Yeah.
down south
Yeah.
in the woods and like
Like I said,
Yeah.
it's a very they did a great job marketing it. They did a great job like directing it and stuff like that.
That whole like perspective thing too. Like I think it cut the way for like Paranormal Activity and like other things that came out.
100%.
Like, it kind of rips
the found footage. This
Yeah.
is the beginning of the found footage. Like,
but that whole like documentary film style Cloverfield, it kind of like it was the first one that did 100%.
that. Like filmed with like a handheld camera, like all shaky and not good quality.
Yeah, it definitely paved the way for all that stuff. So the other one tied at 4 is Misery. So 1990, Stephen King story. Rob Reiner is the director. After a serious car crash, novelist Paul Sheldon is rescued by former nurse Annie Wilkers, who claims to be his biggest fan. Annie brings him to a remote cabin to recover, where her obsession takes a dark turn when she discovers Sheldon is killing off her favorite character from his novels. As Sheldon devises plans for escape, Annie grows increasingly controlling, even violent, as she forces the author to shape his writing to suit her twisted fantasies.
Oh, this is a favorite of mine.
Yeah, again, not particularly scary. Like, again, it's just more of a messed up movie.
Yeah.
Like, but it makes you think of like how like you could just be trapped in someone's house. I feel like it'd be tougher without.
So this is also
and James Caan's
this was
awesome
adapted from one of Stephen King's books,
and
too.
Kathy Bates is awesome in it too.
Yeah, Kathy Bates does a
she plays
fantastic
super
job.
So
creepy.
this was what made her famous, this movie.
Well,
She was based because they actually wanted somebody like a nobody to play this part. They thought that because they thought it wouldn't be as good if it was like somebody well known playing it. But yeah, I think what I like about this movie too is just like how simple it is. Like it basically takes place in like practically one house with like two people pretty much the whole time, but it keeps you interested and engaged the whole time, and you keeps you wondering like, is he ever gonna get out? How is he gonna trick her?
And then you got like the sheriff like they're trying to find him, and like they notice his car goes off the road, but they can't find him afterwards. It's like they know he's like alive, but
and then obviously the big scene where she breaks his legs.
Yeah, that's a crazy scene too.
I love when he tries to like poison her. Like he tries to put poison in the wine glass, and then it's like she's always like one step ahead of him. Because like then she accidentally spills the wine glass, but like was it an accident? Did she know he was going to poison her? Like it's.
You're what does she call him, a dirty birdie?
Yeah, or something like that.
Yeah, and she's like the way that she talks to him is like.
But it's funny because she like does that line of like where she seems like on paper like she's nice, and then it's like then you realize like she's psychotic, like just crazy.
She was like a killer nurse or something crazy.
Yeah, you find that out.
But I like that one too. I think she does such a good job too because she can turn her personality on a dime. Like 1 minute she's like so happy, and the next she just becomes like psycho. Like within like like 2 seconds.
I think that's why the casting, like you said, of
James Caan,
Kathy Bates, because she's like just a very unassuming. She's like a little heavier of a woman. Like there's nothing much to her, and like
she looks like just like a normal,
just a
nice
normal
person.
Like, and then she just when she breaks his legs. Oh boy, oh man. But yeah, that's a real good movie. That one's real good.
Cool.
Am I next?
Yeah, take us into number 3.
Okay, so now we're in the top 3, and there's no ties anymore. So for number 3, we have The Silence of the Lambs, 1991, Jonathan Demme. Clarice Sterling, a top student at FBI's training academy. And then there's Jack Crawford wants Clarice to interview Dr. Hannibal Lecter, a brilliant psychiatrist who is also a violent psychopath, serving life behind bars for various acts of murder and cannibalism. Crawford believes that Lecter may have insight into a case that Sterling, as an attractive young woman, may have the bait to draw it out of him.
I think only you and I had this on our list.
Well, I have to say this is like probably my top 3 for favorite horror movies.
Yeah. It's and we talked about this a little bit before, but the villain in this movie, it's not everybody. You think Silence of the Lambs, you think Anthony Hopkins, right? You think Hannibal Lecter. But the real villain in the movie is Buffalo Bill. Yeah. The guy is capturing women, putting them in a hole.
Hosing them down.
Hosing them down, lotioning up their skin. And then making dresses out of them. But Anthony Hopkins is the one you're worried about the entire movie. So it's just unsettling that this woman is going and getting advice from this guy who's a known cannibal, that eats people, and he's probably only on the screen for 5 minutes, but he hit like just the way that he acts throughout that movie. It's just incredible.
I have to say, his performance as Hannibal Lecter is probably my favorite performance in a horror movie.
Oh, no doubt.
Like, it is, and they did such a good job too of like just. I think they really tried to make him as like creepy as like every time they show him, it's very close. A lot of the times it's very close up to his face. Yeah. He always stands very like still and like you never know what he's gonna do next. Like they just do such a good job like how it's filmed, especially the scenes.
I love the scene where he breaks out with like bites the guy's like face and shit.
Oh, what a And then he does that weird. He does like some weird things, and because he makes that weird sound. I ate his liver with a nice Chianti and some fava beans. Like he just is so creepy. But once again, she's a detective trying to like capture this actual like person that's kidnapping women and doing all that, and that's the bad guy. But like you're still so worried the entire time.
I know, like what's he gonna do? Yeah, you never know what he's gonna do like the whole time. But then, but still, the stuff at Buffalo Bill's house, like when he's like they're in the basement and the lights are out and the night vision stuff, like that's all cool. The last like what would you say, like 30 to 15 minutes of that movie are like
it's on edge. You're on edge.
You're on edge the entire time. And I like to like, you know, it's honestly almost like she ends up kind of just going off on her own at the end to try to find this guy. And the whole other FBI team is at who they think is Buffalo Bill's house, and they break in, and then you find out it's not actually his house, and she's at actual Buffalo Bill's house by herself, no other backup or help.
Right.
Like
it's good. It is one of my favorites. It's really good.
Yeah, and I love the ending too with like basically Anthony Hopkins calls her and is like, "Hello, Clarice," and Clarice. And like he's escaped.
Right.
He's escaped from being locked up, and he looks like he's somewhere in the Caribbean, and he just like walks off into the crowd, and that's it. Like.
Then there's the sequels and all that stuff, and then the prequels, and then the show, and then remake. Like it's a great movie.
I've only ever seen
Red Dragon.
No, I've only ever seen Hannibal.
Oh yeah,
that's the only other one I've seen.
You never saw Red Dragon?
No,
that one's not bad with Edward Norton.
I like him, but no, I've only ever seen Hannibal, and I wouldn't really like Hannibal that much.
Yeah,
not really.
No, it's not that good.
So, but this is again, I think just a very, very well done horror movie.
For sure.
All right, so on to number 2. We're getting down there. Get Out by Jordan Peele. Another Jordan Peele. Now that Chris and his girlfriend Rose have reached the meet the parents milestone of dating, she invites him for a weekend getaway with Missy and Dean. At first, Chris reads the family's overly accommodating behavior as nervous attempts to deal with their daughter's interracial relationship, but as the weekend progresses, a series of increasingly disturbing discoveries leads him to a truth that he never could imagine. So I think this was like your number 1, wasn't it?
Yeah, this was my number 1. It's another Jordan Peele. It's another whatever you want to call it, like a social topic that he gets into. But this movie is like, it's just so unique. It
is.
And even if you look at the scores that it got on like Rotten Tomatoes and things like that, it's like such a well-reviewed, well-received movie. And it's just so different, the idea of it and the fact. So it's have you seen this one, Nick? Yeah. So just the fact, like, you got this white family that's basically, it's just a whole town of people that are kind of like taking these African American people and like trying to like take out their what makes them them, so that they can be more like them in that neighborhood. So it's like I said, it's a social commentary on the race and stuff like that. But then it's like the creepiness of, you don't figure that out until like way later in the movie, and then they're trying to kill him, and you got the housekeeper, he's doing weird stuff, running in the yard. There's just creepy things, that the lady's brushing her hair in the mirror and like crying for some reason, but she's like not making a face. Like it's it's like so unsettling.
It is very unsettling.
Yeah, it's so unsettling. And then it gets to the point where, okay, now we know what they're doing. How are they doing it? And is Kathy Bates the mom?
No, there's not really anybody.
I know.
She does kind of look like.
Yeah,
Kathy
she
Bates,
does
though.
though. What I like about that movie too is, from what I remember, there's not really anyone super well known in it.
No,
at all. Like,
not at that point.
No, maybe now, but at the time.
Oh yeah, now it's all those guys have been in other stuff.
The boyfriend, he's in other stuff now. I forget his name.
He's been in Black Panther and stuff like that, but
was unknown at the time.
Yeah, and then you find out how the ladies like hypnotizing them and stuff like that, and bringing them into the sunken place, and it's like, it's just so unsettling. It's good. It's so good.
Yeah, I want to rewatch it because, again, this was a movie I saw when it came out, but I haven't seen it again. I don't think
we've seen it since it came out.
Yeah, I think it's on something now.
Netflix has Us and Get Out right now, probably because it's like Halloween. I don't know, but both of them are on there.
I don't own many DVDs, but I own this one. All right, so before we get into number one, so let's go over some of our honorable mentions. So things that kind of didn't make the list.
You had. I didn't realize you had that too.
What?
13 Ghosts.
Yeah. So these are things that didn't make the. I'm gonna go over, I guess, a couple that I like that didn't actually make the list. Didn't make my list and definitely didn't make our top 10 list. So I had Hereditary on here, another good movie. Really, another one of those unsettling movies. It's just creepy. The story is weird. It just keeps you kind of on edge, and then the ending is like super weird. So it's
just a very weird movie.
It's a weird movie. And then these didn't quite make my top 10, but 13 Ghosts. I love this movie. I love 13 Ghosts.
I forgot about this movie. Yeah, honestly,
that's a weird movie.
I forgot about it.
It's not a good movie.
Wicked gory.
It's not a good movie at all.
Yeah.
But it's such a good concept of like different. You got these 13 different ghosts with 13 different backstories, and like they're all weird and super gory, and the imagery is like super creepy. They're living in this glass house that their uncle that they didn't know like left them, but the glass house is actually like a trap for ghosts. Like it's like not a good movie, but for some reason I love it. And Cabin in the Woods is another good movie. It's actually like a funny horror movie.
Oh, okay.
It's weird. It's creepy.
They basically get this like virus, right?
No.
I haven't seen it in a while.
Cabin in the Woods is when they like these people are in like this virtual like horror scene.
Oh, yeah. Then I'm thinking of a different movie.
Oh, yeah. I don't think I've actually seen it.
Then maybe I haven't seen this. I think I was thinking of something else.
It's super unique, and that's what I liked about it. It's super unique. It's super different. I would definitely recommend it. But do you have any honorable mentions, Ashley? We'll do guilty pleasures after.
Okay, so I have a couple. I won't go through them for too long, but I had Hereditary too, and I think so. This was Ari Aster's first big film. Yeah. He also did Midsommar, which was like a super weird movie.
See, I like Midsommar. It's just too like.
That was way too out there.
Yeah,
like I was like,
once was enough for me.
The fact that people are gonna stand there while like someone's committing ritualistic like killings just seems bizarre to me.
But I think what I really liked again about Hereditary is just how like unsettling it was. Like I remember seeing this in theaters with my cousin, and I was like, literally, I had anxiety the entire movie. It's just so weird. I was like, what? And I mean, I will never forget that scene with the sister, and they're coming back from a party. The sister's in like having like an asthma attack, or like because she's like, or she had nuts, and she's like super allergic. And she basically gets like, spoiler alert, she gets like decapitated as they're coming. Like just so unsettling. Lots of like just disturbing imagery. And I think why I also put this on my list too is because Toni Collette, again, who's the mom in The Sixth Sense, she's kind of like, she plays the mom in this, and her acting in this movie is like incredible. Yeah. I think that's honestly why I put it on my list. Just for how
You're a big Toni Collette fan.
She is. I love her. So I also put Saw on my list.
Saw's a classic.
Again, a classic.
Just of our generation.
I think
Yes.
Saw's stupid. I'm gonna be honest.
So
I'll go out on a limb and
The
say
first one is good.
Yes.
Everything after that,
I only
I'm
liked
all
the
set.
first one.
it's like the concept got out there, and that was it.
Yeah, the twist. Once you get to the twist at the end, you're like,
No,
all right.
and I think that's why I love it. And that's why I put it on my list.
Yeah.
Is I love the twist at the end. I love the concept of it.
Right.
I love how it was very low budget.
Right.
And it just
It was
very-
a different idea. You
Yeah.
haven't seen anything like that in ever, where these people are basically playing a game for their lives. Like,
yeah, it was a very unique concept. Just very again low, very well filmed, good ending. Just again, I will never. I remember watching that scene with the reverse bear trap on that girl's head. That will that just really creeped me out. I remember, because I remember seeing it. I think I actually watched it with Mel and Sarah at my parents' house, and we were all. I think they were hiding underneath the blanket, and I was like, oh my god.
Yes.
But anyways,
yeah, that one's rough.
I think I just also it's just almost nostalgic. I was in high school when it came out,
Right.
and it was a big movie at the time. I also have 7 on here, which I wasn't even really considering as a I think at the time we were thinking of doing just horror movies, and you had it on that
That's
list
a
that you
thriller,
sent
too.
us.
That's not like a horror
and
movie.
7, I would have to say though, 7 is probably one
It's
of my
creepy.
favorite.
It's creepy.
It's one of my favorite thrillers. I
What's
would
in
say.
the box? What's in the box?
Yes, I love the acting in it. I love how it's filmed. I feel Kevin Spacey does an amazing job in it, even
Right.
though he's in it for barely any time.
Right.
He's in it at the very end.
We don't talk about Kevin Spacey. He's canceled.
I know. I hate that he's canceled because he's in so many movies that I like. But anyways, he's a
He's
horrible.
kind of a creepy guy.
He's a horrible person. He's a horrible person.
That aside, I feel like it wasn't shocking that he has some dark things going
Yeah,
on.
no
Yeah,
He's a
well,
weird dude.
yeah. So those were just some of my honorable mentions. Saw 7 and
So I mean,
Hereditary.
you guys kind of did a pretty good job. I mean, I guess I'll pick for my 2. One was The Wicker Man, which the Nicolas Cage remake is kind of shitty in my opinion.
Yeah,
the original
the old
old
British
one is
one,
creepy.
if you can get past the fact that it's in the 70s and it's an old British movie, it's pretty creepy. Quick summary, this guy goes to basically investigate the death of a girl at some really random, and I think it makes sense more towards the UK vibe, because it's supposed to be a random British isle
Right.
that nobody goes to. And long story short, he ends up becoming the victim of basically a harvest sacrifice, and ends up getting burned to death in this giant wicker man that's towering thing built of wood and wicker. That's just the ritualistic thing that they burn, and he doesn't basically the entire town is in on the whole thing, which I think makes it really creepy. He's the outsider that comes in, and they're pretty much leading. The more questions he ends up asking, he kind of gets to, and it's too late by the time he realizes that he's the guy that they're gonna try to kill for their harvest that year or whatever. So that's a good one. Then probably my second one, we did mention it briefly earlier, Paranormal Activity. I feel whenever that first came out, that was really creepy. The first time I saw that, I'm that movie was pretty freaky.
Yeah.
I think once you get over the jump scare thing of it, though, it's not it's nothing that really that scary to it. It's scary sitting and watching it for the first time.
It is all jump scares.
Some
That's
of it's kind of funny though, when she's just standing over the bed staring at him. I'm
You can see it funny or creepy though, either way. Because I equate it to if you woke up and your spouse was just staring at you,
right.
for hours on end, I'd be pretty freaked out.
It's another one of the found footage. This could be a true story. Is it or isn't it? Yeah.
And I will just mention actually too is Sleepy Hollow. We were talking about that a little bit, but Tim Burton, Johnny Depp's in that, Christopher Walken.
That's got a soft spot.
It's not particularly scary. It's a pretty bloody dark movie. There's definitely some weird dark themes going on because it is a Tim Burton movie. Even though it's not particularly scary, there's definitely some freaky stuff going on in it.
Yeah, and
That's
I think it's
unsettling.
a soft spot for me because it's the New England, you watch it, it's got, it could be any of these woods that are behind us.
It's Sleepy Hollow, New York is a real place, but it's upstate New York.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, and I think too, it being Tim Burton, obviously it's very artistic, it's very dark and almost cartoon. It's almost like the Nightmare Before Christmas vibe, or I guess any of his movies really.
We actually just watched this a couple days ago. Just to rewatch it because it's one of those ones that I like to watch because
it's good around this time of year.
Yeah,
there's some dark humor in it too. That's pretty funny.
It's a decent story too because he's trying to figure out. He comes in from New York,
with
New
science.
York City to figure out these murders, and then they're like, no, this is a paranormal thing that's happening.
It's kind of funny too, because I like how Johnny Depp plays the guy of like, he just is like, there's no way like there's a headless horseman, and then like finally they're like, I think he sees like, he like rides up and sees someone decapitated, and the guy's like, do you believe in him like now? And he's like, because after he's like basically like in shock for like a day or whatever, and he's like, it was a headless horseman. Like, we know, like that's why we're having you come here, because there's a headless horseman. Like, we weren't lying about him. Like, he exists.
Oh man.
Yeah, so that probably about wraps it up.
Yeah, so that's the honorable mentions. So now we'll get into it. The number one pick, the top of the spooky movie list for the
drum
PUDs.
roll, please.
So number one, Halloween, 1978, directed by John Carpenter. John Carpenter's Halloween. Synopsis as if it needs one, but on a cold Halloween night in 1963, 6-year-old Michael Myers brutally murdered his 17-year-old sister Judith. He was sentenced and locked away for 15 years, but on October 30th, 1978, while being transferred for a court date, a 21-year-old Michael Myers steals a car and escapes Smith's Grove. He returns to his quiet hometown of Haddonfield, Illinois, where he looks for his next victims. So, before we get into it,
they didn't mention how he killed her with a giant steak knife. I think that's
it's a chef's knife.
It's
a chef's knife.
Giant,
that was just
giant
laying
knife
out in the kitchen.
The biggest knife money can buy.
So, before we get into this one, the thing I found cool about our list is we did not have one unanimous movie.
Yeah,
that all four of us had.
I know
on
what you're
our
gonna say
lists.
though.
I didn't have this on my list.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know why. It's not. It's just I like it. It's a good movie. It's just not one of my favorites for some reason.
I think it's like it's just like the movie we always watch on Halloween too.
I watch it too. Like I watch it every time this time of year too. But I don't know. I don't know what it is. It just. I don't know. I need more. Can you tell me why he murdered his sister, please?
It's funny because I feel like it's for me. It's like I don't know why I like it.
Yeah.
Like why it's my number one, because it is personal.
Maybe it's nostalgia.
I don't know if it's nostalgia. I don't know what it is about it, because it's like it's a pretty simple movie. Like,
I don't think there's not a lot of depth. Like, I'm sure that if you analyzed and you looked up, I'm sure there's like reasons why he kills us. There's definitely some sort of sexual jealousy thing that I think is supposed to be going on. I don't know. That's what I get the vibe, anyways.
Yeah, I think when Rob Zombie remade it, I think he gave a whole backstory and stuff like that.
They've done,
but I think
there's been so many remakes.
But I think that's one of the things that makes it good, though, too, is like
sequels.
he's just supposed to be like a psycho from an asylum, and
that just doesn't die.
And he's like superhuman,
and maybe almost. That's it. It makes it scary because he doesn't have a reason.
And I think that's the thing they almost make it out is like you don't know if he's supposed to be like possessed by the devil or like something crazy,
and he just won't die.
Yeah, because he won't die.
He'll get shot. He
becomes like a supernatural thing in addition to just being a guy that's supposed to be crazy.
Right. So you and Ashley both had this number one, and Melissa had a number 6 on her list, and I did not have.
I thought it was funny because you and Mel both had Get Out as number 1, and me and Nick both had Halloween as number 1.
Yeah. It's a good list. Those are two. I mean, these are two. This is obviously the classic. This opened the door for the Nightmare on Elm Street.
And worth mentioning, I think that's pretty much what put Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, Jamie Lee.
On the map.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because she must be like 20 in it, maybe, or like she's pretty young in that.
She's like, I think she's basically like a high school age in it.
Yeah, she's pretty young,
and she does a great job.
Yeah, she does.
She does a great job in the movie, and the mask is obviously one of the most iconic masks. Like, you see it every year. Michael Myers, the Jason Voorhees hockey mask, like the Scream mask. Like, it's iconic. The funny thing is that it's supposed to be William Shatner's face.
Oh yeah,
yeah. They found it in like a I don't know,
prop.
It's like an old William Shatner mask. Well, whatever he is.
Yeah,
Star Trek, Captain Kirk. Captain Kirk.
It's genius though. Like,
it's been talked about and like analyzed so much. It's a very good movie. I'm just not a slasher guy for some reason.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
Yeah,
but it's and there's so many sequels. It keeps going. It's still going. It just
apparently the newer one's supposed to be pretty decent. Excuse me, that Jamie Lee Curtis was in again, but I haven't seen a lot of the other ones.
What's that guy's name from Eastbound and Down? He was the one that wrote it. But they just got bought out again by Miramax, so they're gonna do another trilogy.
Gotcha.
So it's it just keeps going.
Nothing beats the original though. Like I've seen maybe 2 and 3, and then I've seen some of the more recent ones, but nothing to me beats the original.
2 might be the worst horror movie of all time.
2 is bad. Yeah. I don't even remember the last time I watched Halloween 2. But
2, there's no Michael Myers in 2.
There isn't.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
Halloween
that's right.
2. The what is it? The Witch's Revenge or something like that, and it's
really?
the candy company.
It has nothing
like
to
is
do with
blowing up people's faces or something
really?
like that. Yeah,
I honestly
it's like
haven't
super
seen it in a
weird.
while, but
okay.
It's super weird.
I also love the soundtrack for Halloween.
Yeah.
It's so simple, but it's like so
John Carpenter.
like effective.
that like synth riff.
I think he actually wrote it in like
He did.
a couple days, like the whole soundtrack to the whole movie.
Well, I mean, it's not complicated.
No, but I mean, it's not complicated, but it's like
notable.
It's such a it works.
It's just like the way that Michael Myers defies physics too. Like he's walking so slowly, and then next thing you know, he's right around the corner.
I know.
Yeah.
And he's so like
And he could be
big
anywhere.
and like
Yeah.
obvious,
Yeah, he's
but like
huge.
at the same
Right.
time, no one sees him.
Right.
Like,
Yep.
And then you don't know what his motives are, and then he gets weird with some people. Like I don't know. Yeah, it's definitely a good movie. Definitely a good movie. It's definitely worthy of the number 1 spot, obviously.
Agreed.
So, yeah.
It's probably
Cool.
number 1 or high up on a lot of lists.
All right. Bonus content.
Guilty pleasures.
Guilty pleasures. So we all picked a guilty pleasure spooky movie that we all understand.
Yeah.
We'll call it a Halloween movie.
Yeah.
It's a movie that we all understand is not a good movie,
It's like ridiculous,
but we love to watch anyways. Yeah. So for me, that's Ghosts on Mars.
Yeah. Once you saw that, I'm like, I'm gonna just make that my pick.
Yeah.
I'll comment on that too.
Yeah, Ghosts on Mars is like
Ghosts of Mars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a terrible movie.
Yeah, it's awful.
It is so bad.
Ice Cube's in it.
It's Ice Cube, Jason Statham.
What's her name? The
yeah.
chick's name. She's in.
I
like,
don't think
other
I've
action
ever
movies,
seen
too.
it.
No,
I don't think so.
Yeah.
And the premise
It's
is
very
like they're
campy.
like mining on Mars, and then like they like somehow like release this
Like ancient.
this ancient ghost.
Yeah.
and then it
possesses
just possesses
everybody.
a bunch of people. So it's almost like zombie.
They like start like mutilating themselves.
Yeah, yeah.
It's basically like a weird, campy action horror movie.
Yeah, and then like this lady's like on trial because she like I don't even know what she did.
Yeah,
she
so she has
left.
to go there.
I don't know. But
It's like in the future.
yeah,
It's on Mars.
it's on Mars. It's a good soundtrack. Ice Cube's in it.
So random.
But it's good for some reason.
Yeah.
I think it's the mutilation part for me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely a very bloody, gory movie.
Yeah. So yeah, that one that's my guilty pleasure. I watch it every year, and it's like it's not good, but I'll get my buttered popcorn and just hang out and with a big
For
old
sure.
smile.
It is like a simple movie to watch. Like it's
Yeah.
not, you don't have to think too much.
Right.
Just watch it and enjoy. Ice Cube with shotguns.
Yeah. Jason Statham just being really
Jason Statham.
horny.
Yeah.
Such
Yeah.
a random like duo.
Yeah. It is super weird. What you got? What you got for guilty pleasure?
So this isn't necessarily like one movie, but I think this is kind of what got me into scary movies. So when I was a kid, I was super into Goosebumps.
Yeah.
Like I read a lot of the books and I owned a lot of the VHS tapes. My
love the
sister
Goosebumps.
Rachel and I were super into Goosebumps.
Yep.
Like we loved The Haunted Mask, which honestly, if you think about it, is a terrifying concept
Yes.
of like not being able to remove a scary mask from your face.
Yeah.
Like, so that
It was the little the puppet one. Was the one that creeped me out the most.
the
ventriloquist
Night of the
dummy.
Living Dummy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that one.
Super creepy.
Stay
Night
out
in
of the
Terror Tower.
basement.
Yeah.
The werewolf
The Mask.
one.
Yeah.
They did like a haunted mask like 2, like
Yeah.
was also super creepy.
I had that Maneskin one as Halloween.
Did you?
Yeah.
I love
had-
the books too. The books were so good.
Yeah, I read the book. I read a lot of the books. I wouldn't say I read all of them, but I definitely read and I think that's what got me really into like scary stuff and
Yeah.
scary movies. Is it all started with Goosebumps?
Yeah.
I remember watching it on TV because they had like it was like a TV show too.
Yep, it was.
Yeah, I don't know if
It was a
a
little series.
Yeah, so Goosebumps is probably my guilty
Nice.
pleasure.
I'm gonna do. So Melissa didn't do really scary movies for her guilty pleasure, so I'm gonna actually talk about hers. So she did Hocus Pocus, which Yeah,
I wouldn't even say that's a guilty pleasure. It's just not
good.
a scary movie.
It's just not a scary movie.
That's just a good movie.
We watched it last night.
We did watch it last night.
Then she put Casper.
That's also
another
great.
good Halloween movie, not a guilty pleasure, just kind of a children's Halloween movie.
I love Casper.
And then she put Double Double Toil and Trouble, the
Mary
Kate and Ashley.
Another great, and it came out the same
might
year as
qualify
Hocus
as a guilty
Pocus.
I love
Pleasure.
my wife. She's so gentle.
That might qualify as a guilty pleasure.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's it. That's
Cool,
the
man.
list, guys. We did it.
Man. Yeah.
We did it.
Awesome.
That was fun.
That was a lot of fun. Thanks again, Josh, you did a great job
no
with everything.
problem.
I like how you ranked everything and
Yeah.
made it easy to go back and
We
forth.
might do another movie rankings down the line.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I like that.
That was good.
All right, you want to get a Nick's music moment?
Let's do it. All right.
Sorry, I almost forgot about it before.
You almost did.
Great topic. I almost forgot about it. I was like, what's this random sheet of stuff I have? So Nick's music moment for episode 17, and we'll have Josh's jazzy moment shortly thereafter. So the first one is Nothing Matters. It's by a pretty new band called The Last Dinner Party. I heard this on the radio like this week. I think on Sirius. They're a band from the UK that's kind of up and coming. Don't even have an album yet. Really good, catchy song. It has a nice little guitar riff in it, and I guess they're touring the US right now and kind of blowing up in the UK. So definitely be a lookout for these guys called The Last Dinner Party. The second song is called Honey, Are You Coming? It's another single called by a band named Maneskin, which is a very interesting name. But just sort of another poppy sort of rock song. The third song is Never Say Die by Churches. The album is Love Is Dead. This is a really great song by Churches. I know Churches is like pretty huge. It's probably one of my favorite songs by them. I'm not necessarily into like all their albums. I like their most recent album quite a bit. Just a good jam song I was running today, and like always, it just gets me pumped up. It's very synthy, very poppy.
Nice.
Good to blast and crank on the headphones when you just need to kick it into.
You like synth and pop, dude.
I do. I do.
That's very music moment of you.
I do. Thank you. My fourth one is a throwback, but I've been listening to this album recently, and it's Losing My Religion by R.E.M. and the album's Out of Time, which
what a great song.
Out of Time is probably one of the best rock albums ever, pretty much. An interesting backstory of this is that R.E.M. was actually trying to make a really not commercially popular album and trying to just go off and do their own thing when they made Out of Time, and it ended up being like their most wildly successful album almost. Really interesting song. It doesn't actually really have a chorus. If you ever actually listen to Losing My Religion, it just kind of has verses. Right. And he keeps talking over and over again. There's sort of refrains and stuff, but there's actually not a real chorus to the song. It just kind of keeps going, and it's got like mandolin in it, and I mean, I probably don't need to explain it. If you haven't heard Losing My Religion, you've probably been living under a rock for the past 30 years.
Probably.
And the last one is another band too. Like I always equate them and remember the Killers, this band, as being like when I was in high school, middle school, they released their first album, Hot Fuss, that had like Somebody Told Me and a bunch of other, and Mr. Brightside, and like 4 or 5 singles on it. Kind of been coming back to them recently and just sort of listening to their more popular songs. I knew about this song in particular, but listening to even more recent songs about them. They are a really good band. They're from Las Vegas, which is kind of weird. Just for a band in general, you don't see too many bands that are from literally Las Vegas. This song is When You Were Young by the Killers, and the album Sam's Town. I think this was their second album that came out. Been kind of back into them a little bit and falling back into that vein, listening to some of their newer music and stuff. So
everybody knows that from Mr. Brightside, for sure.
Oh yeah. Monster hit.
Yeah.
That album in general, I still have the CD somewhere, but I don't know. I must have listened to that like thousands of times. So yeah, you got anything to contribute for the Josh's?
Yeah, I got a
jazzy music moment.
I got a jazzy.
One day I'll say the Josh's jazzy music moment. It's hard to say that.
You got to say it slow. Josh's jazzy music moment.
Yeah.
And so all week I've had this song by Creed stuck in my head. One Last Breath. Hold me now. I'm 6 feet from the edge and I'm thinking. Yeah. So I've been listening to that like on repeat and it's such a good song. It starts off.
It is a good song. You can come hate us if you want to, but Creed has.
I like Creed.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Why would anybody hate on Creed? Yeah, they sound.
Yes, Scott Stapp can't talk. It's okay.
That's okay. But yeah, it's
No, I admittedly I think that's a good song.
Starts off slow and just continues to build. It's a good song. It's a good song. Nice little guitar riff in the beginning. Yeah. Creed. One Last Breath.
Cool, man.
And I'm down to one last breath.
All right, let's get into the descent.
All right, man.
What have you been up to?
No, I watched, like I told you before, on the vein of spookiness, I watched
Spooky?
Yeah, I watched the, what is it,
New England Legends?
Yeah, New
Jeff
England
Belanger.
Legends. Yeah, there was like a New Bedford episode with Fort Tabor.
Oh, yeah,
that one's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like afraid of the homeless instead of the ghosts.
Yeah. Dude, for real, it looks really creepy in there, though. Yeah. Apparently, they've had like a lot of different experiences and stuff in there.
I want to go to, in Newport, like that. They have like that round thing.
Oh,
I want to go over there.
That's cool. That's worth checking out.
But yeah, it was cool. It's because you're invested. You're here,
and it's literally our home. Yeah. Like some of the stuff.
So I watched that, and then I started watching. So the anime One Piece made a live action.
That's the one that Wilkie, friend of the podcast, Wilkie recommended?
No, that was Black Clover.
Okay.
I'm done with that.
This was another one.
Yeah, I wish there was more of that, but it's over. But yeah, so One Piece, super popular anime, but they made a live action, so I watched that. It's pretty good. I can't complain. It's nothing spectacular.
How'd you find that? Like on Crunchyroll or something?
No, it's on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
It's on Netflix. And season 2 of Squid Game's coming out soon.
Oh,
I saw
really?
that,
Oh,
yeah.
snap.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
That's kind of a horror vibe. I didn't even think of that. That's not a movie, but that definitely is a creepy, scary kind of thing.
It took the world by storm. Dude.
Oh, dude, Squid Games. Because I watched it by myself because I couldn't stop, and then I rewatched it with you.
I watched it when I was like...
I was shocked your mom watched Squid Games.
And she liked it.
Squid Game.
Like she was into it.
Games or Squid Game?
Squid Game.
Squid Game. Yeah.
Squid Game. It's funny because I watched the whole season through twice. It was because I was like couldn't get out of bed because I had a bad stomach virus and wouldn't stop throwing up.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
So I just kept watching Squid Game.
That's unfortunate.
But yeah, so that's what I've been up to. Cool, that's what I'm gonna plug.
Got to be on the lookout for that new season.
Yeah.
I don't know what we got. We've been watching Suits.
Yeah, which
I mentioned
came
that
out
in the last podcast.
Ago,
Yeah, it's a pretty mindless thing. Like I was saying, I think we were watching a lot of stuff that was required a lot of thinking. So it's just
we
been
needed to
kind of
take a break and just watch something
predictable,
mindless.
easy peasy.
Yeah,
I don't know much. I have like a flurry of new videos, hiking videos coming out right now. So 52 of the views. I got one from New York that will be coming out probably within the next few weeks. But I had Mount Magalloway and then the Horn. Both spectacular foliage hikes if you want to see what New Hampshire foliage looks like in peak. Magalloway was like pretty insane. Like I feel like I didn't realize it as much being there as I was looking at pictures and video of it in retrospect. But the foliage was just about peak when I was up there. So
yeah, those videos look great. And
I was telling like the 24 frames per second?
I did. And I was telling you before too, I like that you popped up the little maps on there to show everybody where you're hiking.
Give y'all a little visual of where we are and stuff. I just had the All Trails map, and you could do like a picture-in-picture feature, and it'll just scroll through that.
Yeah.
Kind of see it.
I liked it.
Yeah, I don't know if we've been doing much. Kind of in that same vein, you were mentioning New England Legends, but Jeff Belanger and one of his buddies have basically a New England Legends podcast.
Oh, wow.
That I pretty much, what I do is save up all the episodes until this time of year. And I just listen to them because they're like 10 or 15 minute episodes, but they're all like little creepy New England stories. And a lot of it's historical too, which I always find it interesting. Yeah. But yeah, shout out to New England. It's literally New England Legends podcast. So if you're kind of looking for something creepy and spooky to listen to, and you live around here and you kind of want to learn about the history of different places and creepy stories and whatnot, definitely check them out.
Yeah, I gotta check that out.
Yeah,
go ahead, but I had another spooky plug.
No, you're good. I was just going to say Jeff Belanger, I think originally I have 2 of his books, but he wrote like these weird Massachusetts books and weird New England, and then kind of morphed into like, he's big in like the paranormal community, I guess you should say.
He had one of the guys on from, what was that, Ghost Adventures? He had one of those guys on one of his episodes.
They did, so like on Halloween, I don't know what they're doing this year, but they usually do something special. Like I think 2 years ago, they went to like the Conjuring house in Rhode Island and like did like a live one.
Spooky.
Which is funny because the people that bought the house and knew it at the same time like don't live there again already. They already sold the place because everybody that lives there is
they
like...
They should just make it like a... I don't know.
Nobody wants to live there.
Not a museum, but like they should just make it something.
It's not that far from where my cousin lives actually.
That's weird.
But yeah, apparently everybody that lives there is like, oh, shocker, there's ghosts and weird shit happening.
Yeah, no kidding. They made a whole movie about it.
Yeah.
Multiple movies.
And I think I know the original the people that had it before them actually sold it though, because they were getting sick of people coming up to like the house and trying to take pictures and stuff though, allegedly.
Yeah.
But I think the last people sold it because they were just like, nope, we're good.
Too much.
But yeah, anyways, New England Legends podcast.
Nice.
They do cool stuff.
Yeah, I'll check it out. Ashley, you got something?
Yeah, I just thought of this. So, Ashley Flowers, the host of Crime Junkie, she does a podcast that comes out just this time of year, basically just the month of October.
Yep.
It's called Full Body Chills, and it's just like scary stories.
Yeah.
And
I'm
it's not just
already.
her who reads them. It's like all these different people who read the stories, and they have like little like sound effects and music in them. So
I thought I was the only one that was into listening to spooky story podcasts of like made up stories. But I love I listen to the No Sleep podcast.
Yeah, okay.
It's like one of the most popular of. Like,
I've heard of
the
it.
spooky.
New England
Yeah.
Legends they write some of their own too and do them as well.
That's
I forgot
cool.
to mention that.
I like all that stuff.
these are good. I wouldn't say like some of them are a little like weird or out there,
Yeah.
but there's some good ones.
Yeah.
Random tie-in. I wonder if Ashley Flowers is related to Brandon Flowers of the Killers. Probably not.
Probably not.
Just a very unusual last name.
She's
I
from
was
thinking
going to
of
say
that.
Brandon Flowers of the Patriots.
Or Brandon Flowers of the Patriots.
I think she's from like the Midwest, so I don't know.
Yeah. Anyways.
All right, guys.
All right, guys. Good episode.
Yeah.
Nice job again, Josh. You did a fantastic job
Thank
with
you,
these
thank
little
you.
we
I
had little
hope you guys
synopsis
enjoyed.
sheets and everything.
And let us know. Reach out to us.
Yeah.
Let us know. Maybe there's something that you enjoy. There's a movie that
Yeah,
you
you got
like
some-
that didn't make our list. And by no means, I love movies.
Maybe you think our lists are stupid.
Yeah, I'll love movies. I'll go and watch anything that anybody shows me. But yeah, check out what we got if you haven't seen any of the movies that we listed, and let us know if there's something that we missed, or let us know if you don't like our list and if we're garbage. You can find us at PUDs Podcast on all the social
The
medias.
socials. You can find us on Instagram.
On Instagram, Twitter, email at pudspodcast@outlook.com.
Websites.
Yeah, we got to get a website.
The interwebs.
So we can get the gear out there. People can buy the merch. And then I'm J Rogers 32
Yeah.
on Instagram.
I'm Nick Hikes and plays guitar.
And you want to plug yourself? Plug yourself, Ashley.
A Sidla.
Because you're so conspicuous.
Yeah.
Nobody would know it was you. Cool.
But yeah.
All right.
So until next time.
Till next time.
Bippity boppity. Give me the zoppity.
Bye.
Bye.
The PUDs Podcast was produced and recorded in Black Cat Studios by the Pud Boys. Find us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you enjoyed, please consider leaving us a review and subscribing. Find us on social media, and we'll see you next time.